What's going on, everybody? How is everyone doing? Any BTC devs here in the chat? I remembered to post on Telegram this time, so that's a win. Any new Gecko Alpha? Well, I know they just got back from Lisbon, and apparently there are some announcements coming soon. So, I don't have any specific alpha, but we are bullish. We're very bullish on the geckos. What's up, Turing, Mateo, Miso? What is happening? What's up, Annie? Hope everyone is hanging in there after this dump. What's up from Sydney? Geckos for life. Hi from Australia. From the Netherlands, Istanbul. Wag me. We are gonna make it. Don't worry. Dump, you say? Did something happen with price recently? Alright, we gave people a little bit of time to get in here, so let's jump into it. Mr. Worldwide. Okay. First things first, let's talk about this Ethereum trend line, not this one. This is an interesting one though. If we do come down for another leg, let's make sure this is right, something like that, then maybe that trend line will hold. But what we're talking about today, or at least so far, is the trend line that I tweeted. Doesn't look ideal, but you know, like, we're not going to be able to stay in this channel forever. It was bound to break eventually. It just so happens we broke to the downside. But it's not necessarily the end of the world. However, I would call this a break in near-term market structure. Like, we had a nice uptrend here, and then we started to consolidate in this area with 3 roughly equal lows, and then we just broke down beyond those. So, as of right now, this area right here, where these 3 lows are, I would expect that to act as resistance if we do bounce up. It doesn't mean it has to. It doesn't mean we're completely screwed. But if this does bounce, like, you can just see how clear of support this entire level has been for a while, even right before the dump. Big bounce here, bounce here, bounce here, bounce there. So we know this is a significant level. And I want to say it's also Monday's low. Let's see. It is Monday's low indeed. So right here is Monday's low. So pretty nice SR there. We also are testing the monthly open. So I do think there's a good chance we see a bounce from here. It just kind of depends. Are we going to reject here? Are we going to reject here? Or are we going to flip this level and just keep going up? And this was just a big shakeout. So those are the 3 questions I have. I don't have the 3 answers for those questions yet. But that's what we kind of have to figure out and talk about. Or at least that will be the majority of what we discuss on stream today. So we put Monday's low on here. Let me also get a monthly open. The open is 42.9. There we go. Make it a little thinner. A lot of you have asked how I mark up charts in real time, so we're doing a little bit of that today. I tweeted earlier today also that can I chuck up a gecko chart? Yeah, we should look at the geckos actually. I heard everyone's listing stuff really high. Looks pretty good on Solana floor. So Bitcoin and Ethereum look a little different, but I tweeted about this earlier today that Bitcoin tends to put in these really big wicks, right? And as soon as we see one of those wicks, people are like, all right, the bottom's in. That was our cascading liquidation. I'm bullish now. Stop at the bottom of the wick, more than likely. And then they're like, let's target a retest of 63.5 or something like that. Like, this is a trade a lot of people are probably taking. And then what Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies like to do is this slow bleed back down towards the bottom of the wick. And if you're in a position like this during that slow bleed, you're going to get in your head. You're going to be like, all right, this looks ugly. We had a really good V reversal and buyback, but now it just looks like it's going to roll over and I'm going to get stopped out. So you cut the trade and then Bitcoin reverses. We've done this on plenty of different time frames. Here was a great example. This was on the daily chart, but regardless, great example. We put in this low, and then there's this slow bleed where everyone, and I mean 99% of people, get super bearish. I mean, after and it's hard to argue with that. After this daily close, how do I get one more bar? Okay. After this daily close, Bitcoin absolutely looked like it was about to fall off a cliff. Okay? And so people sell their spot, they cut their longs, everything like that, just to watch it rip right here. And I'm not saying that has to happen. We also kind of saw it here. We had multiple bleeds back down, so to speak. But specifically here, just this slow grind where it feels like there's absolutely no bid, coming back down into support, and the expectation is that we're just gonna dump. And sentiment is always super bearish during that. Everyone's like, all right, like everyone's already marking out the levels where they're gonna buy when it dumps further. Or in today's example, people are like, okay, I'm gonna bid 56 or I'm gonna bid 52 because we're already coming back down to that low, so it's probably gonna nuke, right? We see that all the time. And so once you've seen that enough, you kind of realize, okay, this has happened to me. I've been trapped in this long journal about it, learn from it. When you start seeing it more and more, you don't even have FOMO for this move because you're like, it's probably going to come back down, even if this is the bottom. And if it's not, you can always get back in later. And if it does come down, that's when you can actually get a good entry. And if you have the data and the history to back up the fact that that could be a solid entry, it can open up a lot of good opportunities. Also, we are forming some divs throughout this whole area. So although we didn't make a lower low with the wick, we did make a lower low on a closing basis, which is all that really matters for RSI because it's calculated on the candle close. Right? So a couple good signs like that indicate that we could have a bounce coming. I'm not saying this has to go up, and I'm also not saying it can't do this again or even sweep the low. We sometimes see that as well. So I don't really like putting stops at the low. We've talked about that in separate streams before. It's just a little dangerous, but I do think a reversal is possible here. What I would like to see is us to get back above the monthly open like this, kind of break out from this downtrending structure. AVAX absolutely is a Chad. We're going to talk about that one soon, but it's back at 100. And also from this dump, we took out all these lows. Oh, here's another great example. Or was that just on Bybit? Let me look. That wick went pretty deep too. But we see these wicks all the time, guys and girls. And then they just get filled in. And then we go. It happened here too. This wick got filled in. On some exchanges, it swept the low. Once again, I wouldn't put stops right at the low. And then it went up for a nice move. So this doesn't have to be printing our new macro bottom on the daily before a move up. However, I don't think the daily actually looks that bad. I think people are overreacting a little bit to the daily. Maybe I'm a little too bullish. I don't know. So do I have a drawing on there? Okay. I'll zoom out to the daily shortly. But overall, this looks good to me. We've got some divs forming. We filled in some of that wick. Everyone is sufficiently bearish. And the last bit of confirmation that I'd like to see is a breakout from here, flip the monthly open. I would be targeting this level. And then I do think it's possible to take out this high. But if we sweep that high, I think it could come back down. Bitcoin and Ethereum, because of that uptrend line, looks slightly different. But for now, I think the play is look for the bounce. Try to catch it if you can. For Ethereum, the monthly open is a little closer. But it has this same kind of structure going on, right? Like we're in this little downtrend, ignoring some of the wicks. We put in this wick. We've come down to fill some of it in. And now we would want to see some bullish structure. If Ethereum does come up, and this won't be the most fun topic, but if Ethereum comes up to this SR level, like you can kind of see we had a bit of a range in here, and we start to reject there on a lower time frame basis, start to put in some bearish market structure, I think it's an opportunity to sell some spot. Personally, I would be comfortable getting back in that spot if it rejects from here, but then breaks back up, and starts flipping some of these levels, starts getting back above some of these levels. But if we do get a rejection at that super obvious SR level, I'm sure it's also like a 618 fib level from the dump. Yep. It's right in that little pocket. If we do reject there, I will be looking at selling some spot. Because this trend will have been broken. We will have broken down from the near term range, retested the range low, and rejected. And that doesn't mean that we're going to come all the way down to 3K, or we at least don't have to. But I do think it could be something like this, and then maybe range for a little bit. And I mean, I can't really predict the future of what exactly it's going to look like. I just know that this trend has officially broken, and if we retest this level and reject, then we will have bearish market structure here. Jared, Stacked Labs, says the old A line, it'd be a lower high. I can't remember what the exact definition of the A line is. I know that's something that you taught me initially, or I learned from you. I think you said it's like where it breaks down from here. But in that case, it is interesting how well that lines up just with the SR level that's in this area already. Like, this was already really nice SR. And then the fact we break down right at the trend line, right at that SR, I feel like is kind of significant. But if I remember correctly, the A line is where we broke down, I think. So would your A line be like 45, 50? In Bitcoin's case, I'm my gecko and my gecko is me. I love it. In Bitcoin's case, we didn't have like that same perfect trend line from early October, like over a month. However, once again, we have some nice SR here. The weekly open is right. Okay, Jared said that's correct. So the A line, which is something that Jared uses very successfully, and I should have him come talk about it, but is just the level where it breaks down from the trend line. So it would be like right around here, which is interesting because with Jared's method, with his style of trading, the SR level he's watching is right here. And with my style of trading, we got Monday's low and SR from back here. We're both looking at the exact same level, but getting it with different approaches. As my friend Trader SZ would say, there's many ways to skin a cat. Which is always a saying that I thought was kind of weird, but it fits. Except we're trading and not skinning cats, but thankfully. AVAX is unbelievable though. And the fact we're seeing this kind of strength from AVAX, it's the only green coin on here other than the S&P 500. Shout out to that correlation, am I right? Kind of makes me think that we didn't put the macro high in, but I don't know. For now, if Ethereum gets to this level, I will be looking to sell spot if I see a lower time frame rejection. We've got some nice supply right here as well. So maybe we come up here, put in a high, sweep it, and then start breaking down. I would probably de-risk a little bit. Thousand Ways to Skin a Cat classic. Yeah, I mean, I know he didn't come up with the saying, but he's just where I heard it. But yeah, we're starting to see a bounce, which is good, which was something we were talking about earlier today, or at the beginning of the stream, that a lot is lining up for a bounce here. Sand is also very, very green. Yeah, I saw that too, actually. But same idea with Bitcoin as with Ethereum. Although it doesn't have that same perfect trend line, this general region is where I'd be looking. Like, that's that same de-risk if you see a rejection type of level. Jared says, agreed on our methods lining up. The confluence to me says that it is even more important. More traders looking at the same area means it's more likely to be held. But on the other side of that, if we are able to break it, extremely bullish. And that is something I agree with as well. If we do break back above 4,500, we come up here, maybe a little rejection, retest some range that we form here, and then break back above, and we flip this market structure bullish again, then buy back any spot that you sold, because it's going to be a wild ride for the rest of the year. But right now, what I'm kind of thinking, until proven otherwise, because of this breakdown, we have to be thinking about the bearish case. I think it would be irresponsible to say, yeah, we had this breakdown, but it's just going to do this. And it could do this, but I want price to prove it to me that we will do this before I start banking on it. Right now, my assumption would be reject around here, and then we have some kind of dip and maybe just consolidate for like the rest of the year. And maybe we come down to like 3,600 or 3,500. I don't think this would go all the way back down to here. But I think if we reject here and start breaking down, it kind of confirms that this trend is broken and that either we will consolidate for a while or just get a bit of a pullback. When are we launching the podcast? That's a good question. We are, Jared's been working on some graphics for the podcast. We need to fully decide on a name and then start planning some episodes. It's still in the works. We just haven't gotten to it yet. And honestly, if we do get this rejection scenario and we just consolidate for the rest of the year, it could be a very good time for Jared and I to start focusing on the podcast, because we won't be needing to focus on the market quite as much as usual. So that's kind of the idea with Ethereum, with Bitcoin. If we do reject in that general region, I will be looking to sell some spot and just wait. Taytran Banan, thanks for the content, Kaz. No problem. Kaz, your Discord got the best alpha. I'm happy to hear that. Name, bounce or die. I think we're in between Cause and Effect, Cause spelled K-O-Z, or the Plus EV podcast. We'll have time if that breakdown happens. Yeah, absolutely. We will have a lot of time. We'll just be laughing about how down bad we are on our NFTs and waiting for the market to turn around again. Am I right? Nubsabi or Nobsabi. I'm sorry if I completely butchered your username, but yeah, that's kind of the idea. Up to 63K, de-risk, expect Yeah, I think that's fair, a fair expectation. You know, we are kind of putting in a bit of a range here, right? You know what? Let me go to a cleaner chart. And I can kind of talk about what I would want to see. I'll hide this too. Oop, I gotta do it. Oop, can't do anything right. There we go. Do we have a... We do have a little bit of... Well, that's good. Anyway. So, we kind of are forming a bit of a range here. Really clean, too. Like if we zoom in and look at some of the lower time frame interactions. Caught the wicks there. Deviation here. All the fun stuff. So, and that bounce that we're kind of looking for would be around this mid-range, give or take. But zooming out, if Bitcoin and Ethereum do reject here and then start to break down, we could just do something like this, and then as soon as we break back above that level, I would probably start getting more interested again. Yes, the stream will be up on YouTube afterwards. Last video I ran into a problem, and that was the only reason it wasn't replayable. But every single other time, my streams are always replayable afterwards. Is Discord paid? No, it is not paid. You thought we agreed on cause and effect? We liked that one. It never became like set in stone or anything. Yeah, I will post a Discord link in here. I like to do that during the streams because although I don't really post links on Twitter, at least not often, I like to keep it a little exclusive. Well, not really exclusive is the wrong word, but just have people in there who actually want to be in there, and not just like anyone who sees a link joins it just because. So let me go grab one of those links for you guys. It'll be active for like a few hours. There we go. Also, one other thing really quick about Ethereum. Annie just reminded me of a weekly SR level on Ethereum that is a very clean level that we could bounce from. Like, I'm not saying this absolutely means the trend is broken, everything's lost. We still could just come back up, and this was just a stop run of some of these lows. And one thing in favor of that, or at least of a bottom being close, would be this weekly SR level. That would still be a bit more of a dip, like it'd still be one more leg down. But 3,900 is a very key level. And you could draw this a few different ways. Like you could say the support is the top of this wick, or it's this whole region, or whatever you want. I typically like to draw it like this. It doesn't mean it has to come all the way down to that level. But that is something to keep an eye on. Let's see. So yeah, that's kind of the idea for those guys. AVAX, super bullish. On the stream last week, we talked about how this gray area is a no-brainer long if we get it. I unfortunately forgot to set bids, and so I missed that. But once again, we had this bleed back down into the wick, and it just made a new all-time high. So AVAX absolutely crushing it. Sol is having a nice bounce right now. But kind of the same thing as Bitcoin and Ethereum in this little, yikes, that was drawn really poorly. Downtrending structure, if we can break out of that, that would be ideal. Let me pull up some levels, and as you guys know, Spaceman BTC made this indicator that has a lot of levels that I personally use, and so it works out well. So a couple things I like that jump out to me. Last month's high, we're holding that as support. So if we zoom out, I'll zoom out to the daily. It's this high right here, but pretty much this high too, because they are pretty much the same. I mean, Sol from a daily time frame is one of the more bullish charts right now. Like this looks solid. We have this high here, SR. We just swept this low into that SR level. Sure, it could come down a little further, but this looks good at least for a near-term bounce. I like it. I like how Sol looks, even though it's down 5.7% on the day. Would I be looking for a long? Kind of the same other stuff. I mean, you could just say when it breaks out of this downtrend and enter a partial position with a stop like here or here, and see what happens. And then as far as targets, I'd look for Monday's low and the weekly open up there. Kind of similar as Bitcoin. If we manage to flip some of these levels, like if we get above Monday's low and above the weekly open, I will be so bullish that it'll be hard to listen to. Spaceman, what's good, brother? Wow, that was good timing. I didn't even see you over there when I shouted out your indicator. Fly heel, whatever happened to that money you had in Zort? Did the algo crumble or did it appreciate in value? The algo did really well. I was up like 15% when I paused it. The reason for pausing the API key, like the algo on my Coinbase account, was because Zort was going through some legal stuff. Someone was accusing them of something. They said they didn't do it or do anything wrong. And so because of that kind of drama, because I didn't know exactly what the truth was, I decided to pause things, kind of hold off until everything cleared up, because I didn't want to be promoting a company that was doing any shady business. So I'm still kind of waiting to hear if that gets fully cleared up. And if it does, I will start using the AI again. And if it doesn't, then obviously I won't, because I would not want to support them. Spaceman has a problem marking the monthly open. It marks October, not November. This one looks like November, brother. I don't know. You might need to refresh your indicator, or like delete it and add it back. So yeah, that's the story with Zort right now. Have I ever thought about using a dark background on TradingView? I have, but I personally, levels don't really jump out at me as well with a dark background. Maybe if I mark up my charts beforehand and then just switch to a different theme. What's the price you think will fall again? Yeah, around that mid 63K. Right in here. 63.3, 63.5, something like that. Yeah, the stop loss for Sol is a little tricky. I would probably put it at the lowest one. Or if you think this is the bottom before the next leg up towards all-time highs, I would probably put my stop loss like at 199, 200, just because I'd want to give it room to sweep the low again if it was gonna. You prefer the previous monthly close versus the monthly open? Yeah, that this is indeed the October close and the November open. This has been a really fun trade. But yeah, I think those are the main ideas right now. I'm trying to not spread myself too thin right now with, actually here, let me mark some of this up. I'm trying to not spread myself too thin with coins to watch or charts to watch right now, just because I don't want to overexpose myself if I think the market might be dropping. So I'm kind of just sticking to some of my classics: Bitcoin, Ethereum, AVAX, and Sol right now. No worries, Spaceman. Talk to you soon, bro. Thanks for your support. Thanks for the indicator. What's next for AVAX? I don't know, man. Probably more upside if everything else doesn't nuke. Like, if everything else starts to bounce, I think AVAX keeps bouncing. But if you're not in AVAX, I wouldn't buy it right after this. So, that's my take. The sweep low, keep sweeping. Yeah, no, that it happens pretty frequently, so that's why I try to give things a bit of space. Like, if I was gonna long, I sometimes don't like to put my stop loss like right there, because it could just sweep it and keep going. And I've noticed that probably over the past 2 years specifically, trading crypto. I mean, I've traded crypto since 2017, but specifically over the last 2 years, I think instead of getting one sweep of the low, we've started to get multiple now. Because I think so many people will long these initial sweeps and bounces that they all get stopped out again. And so now I have gotten more cautious over time, to try and give my trades a little bit more space, just because we see that pretty frequently. Three drives, yeah. I've heard it called that. I've heard it called the triple sweep. I mean, people like to find a new name for it and then market it as their own idea. But yeah, that's the idea. Triple sweep, 3 sweeps, 3 drives, triple drive. I don't know, man. I don't care what people call stuff. It's all the same. But yeah, we do see that pretty often. What would make me de-risk on AVAX? I mean, right now, I think you hold AVAX until this trend is broken, at least. Ever since here, we're consistently putting in higher lows. So until we get something like this, where we break one of those lows and start shifting the trend, I think you keep riding it. Because if crypto does bottom out, like if this is our bottom right here and Bitcoin goes back up, or, I mean, not in a line like that, but if it just does something like this, consolidate, goes up a little more, consolidate, whatever, I think AVAX is going to continue to rip really hard. So I would, I'd keep an eye out for that, I guess. Can I look at FTN? Sure. M. And what do I think about the Bitfinex TWAPper? Or got any info on the Bitfinex T? I don't. I'm not too sure. So a couple streams ago, we were talking about FTM and how this price action was super clean. And this support continues to be it continued to be respected. So I think if we do see that bounce across the board, this is where you'd look to de-risk around 245. If we get back above that, I think it would look really bullish. And I think you could look for a sweep of this low if it comes down for another leg. Take out that low and then reclaim 1.9. How do I think the trend on Sol is still alive? I mean, near term, or like lower time frame, I don't think it is. I mean, we've pretty clearly been downtrending here for a little bit. But just because something is like downtrending doesn't mean you can't play like good bounces. So that's kind of the idea. And I mean, if this happens with Ethereum and with Bitcoin, not this one, the rejection one, then I'll probably sell spot of multiple coins across the board. It's just that Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of rule the market. Like if Bitcoin and Ethereum reject there and start nuking, it's not like a bunch of alts are just gonna ignore that and be super bullish. So like if this happens, I'll be looking to de-risk on a lot of altcoins. So that's kind of the idea. I do think this is a nice level to long if Sol does get down there. But we'll see what happens. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a rejection here again. Yeah, Joe's been ripping. Joe's doing well. We like Joe. Joe has been a stream sponsor in the past, but they're focusing on some other things right now and not as much marketing, so that's why they're not a sponsor today. But I'm still a big fan of Joe. Very bullish on Joe. They're doing a great job of being the premier swap on Avalanche. And when AVAX goes up, other coins in the AVAX ecosystem are gonna do well. So that's kind of my view on the market right now. Any other coin I look at across the board is relatively similar. I mean, there's a few outliers like AVAX, but overall, it is look to sell a bounce. Look to sell a bounce if we start to see a rejection at some of those key levels. And I think Ethereum is the cleanest one to watch. I think Ethereum has been trading a lot cleaner than Bitcoin recently. And so I'm going to be keeping a close eye on it. But I think that's pretty much all I got in terms of TA. Would I de-risk Apex too? That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. It's always kind of been my plan to just hold that long term. Maybe a little bit, I guess you could, but I don't know. I think with that type of a coin, like a small meme coin on AVAX's ecosystem, one big run by AVAX and the on-chain coins could all just rip up together. So, I mean, I've kind of held Apex down like 90% before, so might as well do it again. Am I right? What strategy do I use the most for trading? I think that's a little tough of a question. I mean, I don't have like multiple strategies per se. I guess there are like different setups that I look for. But I pretty much talk about all of them on stream. Like I trade ranges, I trade SR, I trade supply and demand, and I trade liquidity. And I guess you could say my strategy is just a combination of that and how I use things together. Oh, we want to talk about moon cycles. Also, yeah, this daily doesn't look that bad. Like, I mean, we have an hour left, but if this closed above... Well, also, Twitter seems just like super, super, super bearish. And it's like, this doesn't even look that bad. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. But, yeah, we'll see where the daily closes. But the daily isn't too bad. No problem, Max. I hope that kind of clears it up. Mutants have been going on a run. If we want to talk about some NFTs. $6.98 floor. And the floor was like 3.5 2 weeks ago. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know if anyone cares about that, but Cause, how do you trade low time frame without resorting to dumb order flow, tape, limit book? I don't really trade that much low time frame. Like, I'm rarely looking at lower than an hourly chart. I think people who trade with order flow are usually like trading 5-minute charts for the most part. I mean, I'll look at the 30-minute, but yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a scalper. Sia has. Talk about the Davids. All right, we can do a quick update on the Davids. The Davids mint was a bit slow, but by the end of today, they will have burnt 2,750 of them. So originally, the supply was going to be 8,888. But after, like, they're just going to keep burning them until the supply is gone. So we could end up with like a 3,000 supply maybe, which I think would add a lot of value to the current ones that are minted. Sometimes mints are going to be slow. It kind of sucks. But it's good to see how teams respond to that adversity. See if they just say, all right, this didn't work out, so we're calling it quits. Or see if they actually try to implement something to change the direction of the project. And so I think it's been a good sign that the Davids team has continued to try and figure things out. And I'm excited to see where they go from here. I think when they get to like the last 500 or so Davids, I might mint a couple more. because they are committing to this whole burning all the supply until they're gone. So yeah, that's my view on the Davids. Also, do we just close the daily candle? No, we have another hour. Do you recommend any sources of study? Watch a lot of Cred, Main, yourself, any other gems out there? Yes, there are. Let me send the link to a blog called Trading Riot. It is Abe Trade on Twitter. He is a good friend of mine and also has a ton of free articles that are really useful. So yeah, I think that's a great resource. I'd really like to see a longer correction now to get everyone confused, and then an extended bull run into mid next year. I'd be good with that. Just consolidate for a while, consolidate/pull back. I wouldn't be upset. Would give us some time to enjoy a few things outside of trading. When I say liquidity, I essentially mean where people get stopped out to generate liquidity to fill bigger orders. So like this stop run, this stop run, this stop run. Do I have any insight on the geckos regarding my last gecko tweet? Oh, I just thought it was pretty sick that that the co-founder of Solana Labs and that the president of FTX US are both rocking gecko profile pictures. I just think that's pretty sweet. When price breaks out of a channel or an SR level, I should wait for confirmation, right? It kind of depends on your style of trading. You could always enter like a partial position when a break happens and then add more size to that position after you see some type of confirmation, but I think confirmation looks a little different for everybody. So we'll see if we get a run this next hour to finish the day. AVAX continues to print at just about $102, which is an insane amount of strength. But yeah, I'm going to be watching the next few hours to see if Bitcoin and Ethereum can reclaim some SR levels. And I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got from a trading standpoint. So, I think I forgot to do the little sponsor bit at the beginning. But shout out to Magic Eden and Bybit. I trade a lot of Soul NFTs, and Magic Eden is emerging as the leader in that space, and I'm a big fan of leverage trading Bitcoin and Ethereum on Bybit. So, when am I going to open up my Discord? I sent a Discord link in the chat. I will send one more as we wrap things up. If you guys would like to support the stream, you can check out any of those links in the description. And support through that. Why do I like Artificial Irrelevance? I like the team, I like the art, I like the community, It's not a derivative or a direct knockoff of anything else, and I like their roadmap and ideas of possibly creating some type of game, building more things off the robots, and I just think there's a lot of directions they can go from here. No problem, Callus. I dropped another link there in the description. Thank you once again to everyone that tuned in to the stream. I'll be live again on... Ooh, actually I won't. I am leaving for Las Vegas on Thursday, and so maybe I'll stream tomorrow or just do an extra one next week. I don't know. I'll post something in the Discord to keep you guys posted, but appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for your continued support and all the subscriptions and likes and all that, the good feedback on the videos, and I will talk to you all soon.